Yours was today?
I don't care. I'm 65.
I got 3. What's that?
Yeah, but I'm not
They were
old
saying
enough to
things
not
that-
tired about
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to call the June 4th meeting of the Common Council to order. I'll ask our clerk to call the roll to determine a quorum.
Alderperson Rote.
Here.
Sangsta.
Here.
Vitale.
Here.
Weigel.
Here.
Barzak.
Here.
Chapletsky.
Here.
Lysick.
Here.
May.
Here.
Probst.
Here.
Reinke.
Here.
10 present, none excused.
We have a quorum. Alderman Rote will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, what's up with that?
We have 3 items up for public hearing this evening. I will ask the clerk to read item number 1.
A hearing on an ordinance to amend the official West Dallas zoning map by creating a planned development district residential PDD1 zoning overlay upon existing property zoned RB2 Residence District and located at 1803 and 1807 South 92nd Street.
Mr. Stiebel?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On 92nd Street, at the intersection of the railroad track, there's 2 parcels that are currently occupied by single-family homes that will be acquired and cleared as part of this redevelopment. This 2-acre site would be home for a 38-unit, or 2 buildings of 38 units total, multifamily. It's zoned RB2, which permits this. Technically, they could have about 48 would be the maximum number of units on that particular parcel. As I mentioned, it's zoned RB2, which allows for this development. And we're going to be doing a PDD overlay that's going to allow for 2 buildings on 1 parcel. The long-range plan also has a program for high-density residential. The 92nd Street Commons project will be composed of 2 apartment buildings with 44 surface stalls and 18 garage stalls. So each unit will have a garage that they can enter from the particular building. The architectural style is kind of reminiscent of the West Dallas bungalow type of style, trying to fit in with the neighborhood. I think they did a very good job of that. It's going to be stone on the base and masonry siding, which is a hardy plank, which is very durable. The renderings are shown here. This would be from the southeast perspective and the northeast coming up southbound. The floor plans are shown here. There's 12 2-bedrooms, 24 1-bedrooms, and 2 studio apartments. Plan Commission has reviewed this and is recommending approval. And we've received 6 letters of concern to date. We also had a neighborhood meeting last night and hopefully resolved a lot of the issues. About 21 neighbors attended that. The biggest problems they had were the effect of this development on their property values, and in discussion with the city assessor, who lives 2 houses away, says that there should be a positive impact on residential values. The quality of the development is always a concern, and I think we've worked with the developer to come up with a very interesting proposal. The only outstanding issue is a traffic study that we've asked the developer to provide to make sure that there's sufficient vision triangle from entering and exiting, and to make sure that traffic is controlled appropriately. If you have any additional questions, I, representative of the developer, will be glad to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Stiebel. Do we have any questions or comments from the council on this item?
Mayor Devine.
Alderman May.
Real quick, I want to summarize again. We did receive those emails, several calls with concerns from neighbors. It's because of them that we held the neighborhood meeting last night. There were 18 residents in attendance based on the sign-in sheet. There may have been more. And John, you summarized it very well in terms of the market study, the traffic study, things like that. In the end, we asked the residents, if this went through, what are the issues you'd like to see taken care of on the site? I do have those with me. If I'd like to go over those real quick. If this went forward, they'd like to see the fence on the west side, a little bit more detail on the landscaping. If there's going to be a connection to the trail in the back, they'd like to see a gated connection to that trail. They'd like to see the traffic study. I would like to see that traffic study as well for sight distance. And there were some other questions regarding guardrails on the driveway, and basically how are you going to get into the site and how is that going to work from a safety perspective. I think for right now, the big hang-up really is the traffic study. We need to make sure that driveway is going to operate safe for the motoring public. I'm hoping we can hold this for the next council meeting. It would take the same amount of time as if we were to approve subject to the traffic study. I think in the 2 weeks' time, we could get that traffic study, see how things operate, and make a decision at that time. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the council?
Mayor Devine.
Alderman Reinke?
John, before Alderman Singstock and I would approve a development, we would want to know the percentage of density. Do you have that available?
It's about 16 units per acre.
60 units?
16, 16.
16.
There's 38 units on a 2-acre site.
Is that a normal amount, considering a development? I guess I'm thinking of the total development that we have in our district.
The total development in your area is probably about 8 units per acre. The total development in the 6 Points neighborhood is probably about 20 to 22 units per acre.
Okay, so theirs is 16 per acre and ours was 8 per acre.
Correct.
All right, thank you, John.
Thank you, Alderman Reinke. Alderman Barzak?
Mr. Mayor, I know some of the concerns, I only had one call and I wasn't able to make the meeting because I had a prior commitment, and I believe Alderman May made those feelings known. And I want to thank Alderman May for attending and holding that meeting. I think he did an excellent job getting the point across. A couple of the calls that I had that were concerned, of course, about the property values, the density, and things like that. In the past, we've run into this on numerous occasions. Supreme Builders put up 2 units off of 97th Street off of Reservoir Park. Supreme Builders put up a building here where old West Ellis Central used to sit. And of course, the tote developments in 6 Points, and the same concerns come up with the traffic and the density and things like that. And I think the biggest one is back when the Supreme project went in over off of 97th Street. That was probably the biggest impact because of the neighborhood. There was only 2 ways in and 2 ways out, and that was a lot more dense than this particular ones, and they just didn't come it just didn't happen. The cars leave at different times of the day, and there's really the impact was just minor. As far as the property values go, there is some concern there, and I understand that. When something comes in and you take something that is dilapidated and blight, and you put something like this in, it has a tendency to raise the property values, and we understand that. Same thing happened when the Supreme Builders went in at Central and the tote development, et cetera. It does have a impact, and I addressed those concerns. But I think the assessor probably should have told it's very little. I mean, your property values aren't going to soar through the roof, but they probably are going to improve a little bit. When, like I said, when you bring something that's blighted and something comes in like this, that does have a tendency to happen. Again, we do have concerns about the how the cars egress and the access to the property, and that hopefully will be addressed through the study. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Barzak. Are there any other questions or comments from the council on this item? Okay, seeing none, are there any questions or comments from the audience on this item? We ask that you sign in either before or after.
Yes, I did sign in, Mayor. My name is Jerry Falk. I represent the Columbus Club of West Dallas. We're the property right across the street. Basically, we have no objection. I think it would be an improvement. Presently, that site is rather dilapidated, and whatever our only concern is, and now that we understand that there's going to be sufficient parking and what have you, not that the tenants eventually use our lot as their parking facility or whatever other than that. And John, where would be the entry off of 92nd Street? Would there be one into the property off of 92nd Street?
I think, as shown on the site plan, it would be right up by the railroad track,
Okay.
as high as we can get it. So they have to put a significant grade to get back up to get to it.
Right.
And that
Yeah.
gives us the best opportunity to have good vision on both sides.
Right, that's one of the problems, because that bridge over the railroad tracks is rather steep, and vision is blocked even coming out of our property on occasion. The cars are coming pretty fast, and now that we have a lower entryway into our property, it's not as much of an issue, but that would be the only concern as to where that entry would be off of 92nd Street for vision purposes for the cars, especially the ones coming from the south heading north on 92nd Street. If people want to make a left turn and go north, you know, they really have to be careful. So, but other than that, we really don't have any objection as long as there's, you know, ample parking. That because we're sort of busy at our place, and we really can't afford to give up a couple of spots for tenants or if they have guests coming over and whatever. So, thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else with questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, we will close public hearing number 1, and I will ask the clerk to read public hearing number 2.
A hearing on the special use permit for a proposed addition to Oscar's Frozen Custard, an existing restaurant located at 2362 South 108th Street.
Mr. Stiebel?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On Highway 100 and Hayes Avenue in the northeast corner is the current Oscar facility. Oscar's had originally proposed about $1 million expansion of the facility, primarily to do a drive-through. However, with the recent announcement of plans by DOT to take right-of-way from Highway 100 and expand the lanes, which has not yet been confirmed, but for concern that it would significantly, again, affect his new development. As a result, he downsized the development, and essentially, on the south side of the building, he's going to be adding an addition which would have two restrooms in it and a storage facility. It's Zone C4, which allows for this. It's going to be about an 800 square foot addition for a total of 28. They're required to have 19 parking spaces based on the size, and they have 60 parking spaces, so it's plenty amply parked up. On the south side of the building here is the new entrance to the building, and then with the two restrooms that would walk through here in the storage area. This is the picture of, as you would see from Highway 100, and this is where the area of where the addition will primarily take place. The Plan Commission has reviewed this and has recommended approval, and we've received no objections to date. If you have any additional questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Stiebel. Are there any questions or comments from the Common Council on this item? Okay, seeing none, are there any questions or comments from the audience on this item? Okay, seeing none, we will close public hearing number 2, and I will ask our good clerk to read public hearing number 3.
A hearing on the special use permit for MGS Group LLC, a proposed training center offering personal defense, safety, and security classes to be located within a portion of the existing commercial building at 2465 through 2473 South 84th Street.
Mr. Stiebel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On 84th and Arthur is the existing Shooters Club, as shown in this building here. The proposal is to use a portion of the building for this tenant. This tenant would be a school, in effect, primarily for concealed and carry permit. So people would be going to school, therefore, to get that particular permit. The hours of operation of the school are shown on this slide, which are fairly close to the current Shooters Club operation. However, they can function independently. 25 parking spaces are required for the total development, and 25 parking spaces are provided. This is a special use because of the school issue or the training facility. The Planning Commission has reviewed this proposal and recommended approval, and we've received no objections to date. If you have any additional questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Stiebel. Do we have any questions from the Common Council on this item? Okay, seeing none, do we have any questions or comments from the audience on this item? Very good. Okay, seeing none, we will close public hearing number 3. And we will move on to item E on your agenda, citizen participation. This is an opportunity for residents to address the council on matters of interest to them. We ask that you try to limit your comments to 5 minutes. Is there anybody that wishes to address the council under citizen participation? Mr. Retzak.
Mr. Mayor, members of the Common Council, my name is Russell Retzak. My address is 1441 South 68th Street, apartment 239, which we refer to as the Old Geezer's hideout. I'm here this evening to report on behalf of the Ethics Board. We have received responses from all those who were responsible for submitting statements of financial conditions through December 31st, 2012. I reviewed them personally today, and I found no evidence of any conflicts of interest, and I wish to thank all those who submitted them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Retzak. Thank you for your work on the Ethics Board as well. Is there any other residents that wish to partake in citizen participation this evening? We ask that you state your name and address for our record, please.
Hi, my name is Jessica from Jessica's Body Shop and Fitness. I'm sure you guys probably recognize me from the last meeting. My address is 8160 West Forest Garden Court, apartment 21, Greenfield. I'm here in regards to an issue on a permit in order to occupy my space. In January of 2013, I began the process of opening my own personal training business in the city of West Dallas. I came down to this very city building to purchase my occupancy permit, and from that day to the present, I've experienced nothing short of impossible hoops and hurdles I've had to jump over and through. Now I'm going to state some of the problems that I've encountered. I've resorted to making phone calls to other neighboring cities in order to find out where to look in terms of my zoning location. I was going to obtain an occupancy and sorry, a little nervous. I was going to obtain an occupancy and what it meant in terms of me purchasing a special use permit as a result of being turned away by the city of West Dallas. I've been told to go to other jurisdictions to pursue my business ventures. When I was informed that the building I would be renting must be updated to being handicap accessible, I asked where I could go to look over the building codes. My question was followed up with an answer that I wouldn't understand it anyway. In doing my own research, I found out that in occupying less than 50% of the building, it was unnecessary for me. It was unnecessary for it to be updated into being handicap accessible. I have also I've also waited an hour and a half for a scheduled meeting with building inspection to get a no-show by them. I've tried to get to the bottom of every situation I've encountered and have been told since Governor Walker has made his cuts that no one has the time to answer my questions or simply tell me where to go to find them. I have now faced yet another problem in the inspection of my building. A doorway that adjoins my space to another was put in over 20 years ago by the previous owner without a permit. I, myself, and Bob, the owner, have received a letter from the city that stated before I can be issued an occupancy permit, a wall must be put up in place of this doorway. I would like the doorway to remain because at the present, I use it for storage, and in the future, I would like to expand into this space. The convenience of the doorway is necessary for me. My question to you is, that, to my knowledge, a property must be assessed every so many years. I believe it's 5, I'm not sure. In Bob purchasing the building, this would have and should have been caught at the time of the building being turned over to Bob. If it wasn't an issue then, why is it now? The long and short of me presenting this to you this evening is that I feel slighted for many reasons. As a young girl trying to pursue my dreams and aspirations, I couldn't be more scared at this point to see what the future of doing business holds. I feel like I've been lied to, taken advantage of on many occasions. I've been given no incentives through the experience I have had with the city to go out further and pursue my dreams. However, I don't give up that easily, and that's why I'm here tonight asking for your help and cooperation. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anybody else that wishes to address the council under citizen participation this evening?
My name is Robert Cohan. I own the building at 10617 West Oklahoma Avenue. I've owned the building for roughly 20 years. I am getting nothing but basically a hard time from building inspection. It started, I had an appointment with the building inspection and all the fire, health, plumbing, all these people from 2:30 to 3:30 on, I'm not sure what the date was, but they all came, everybody was on time. The building inspector didn't show. I waited an hour, I called downtown, and all of a sudden, okay, he'll be there in about 15 minutes. So I waited about an hour and 15 minutes. He let himself into rooms that were not his business. He went into the office space next door, which was vacant, and did his little inspection. And what he found was a door was put in 1983, long before I owned the building. And he is blocking the occupancy permit for the space next door because he wants me to put in a door or put in a wall where a door was installed in 1983. Now, if I would put a wall in where this door was, there would be no access to this room. So basically, we're blocking off an entire room in an office space. I just don't understand this. I've owned the building for roughly 20 years. I pay roughly $20,000 a year in property taxes. I paid roughly $400,000 in property taxes over the years, and I've offered to pay the price of the permit to have the door put in and not have a wall block off this entire space. I'm really at a loss for why somebody would ask this. And I need some answers. I sent emails to the building inspector. I carbon copied the mayor's office and never a response. And I just, I can't understand this. Why would I put a wall in where a door is and block off a separate room? That's all I have to say.
Thanks for your comments. Is there anybody else that wishes to address the council under citizen participation this evening?
Good evening, gentlemen and ladies. I live on 109th Street, 807 South 109th Street. My last name is Weisenberger, first name Frank. Our neighbors are very concerned over the heavy traffic, the cruisers on a Friday night and Saturday night and sometimes on a Sunday on 109th Street. And we've complained, we've done everything possible, and nothing ever gets done. Finally, we signed a petition to have, I believe, some kind of a device to block off temporarily the street The entrance on 109th Street, right in back of the Super America gas station, it is unbelievable, the traffic that goes through there on a Friday night and a Saturday night. It's constant. They don't stop at the stop signs. There's been numerous accidents. We've talked to the police department. We've talked to our alderman. And, oh, yeah, something's going to be done, but nothing ever gets done. I had a neighbor on, I believe it's Walker, right on the corner, that several years ago, somebody lost control of the car and hit the building. And nothing ever gets done. And it's just a very big pain, and we would like to have something done. When the city of Milwaukee clamped down on cruisers several years ago, West Dallas absolutely did nothing. They might have had a couple of squad cars out there, but that's about it. And I know their hands are tied a lot, but when you're having cars going through and revving up their engines at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock at night, and it's unrelenting, you're getting sick and tired of it. And this has been going on for years and years and years. I would like to have something done with that petition. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that wishes to address the council under citizen participation this evening?
Good evening. My name is Jeff Lewandowski. I'm also a resident. I live on 109th Street, and I'm addressing the issue of the cruisers also. It's my understanding that there may be a proposal to put a barricade on one end of 109th Street to block the street off and virtually make it a dead-end street during certain periods of time during the year between May and September. The concerns that we have is not only because of these cruisers speeding down the street. There's safety concerns. There's been a lot of new families moving into the neighborhood over the years with a lot of children. Now summer months are coming up. 11 o'clock, they may still be out and about going to Speedway for a Slurpee and a Slim Jim or whatever. So this pedestrian traffic is at risk with these cruisers because they don't stop for anybody. I've observed people walking from one sidewalk to the next, crossing the street. These cruisers don't stop for them. You're supposed to yield to pedestrians, they don't. When there's a little break, the pedestrian tries to cross the street, and then all of a sudden, the cruisers are flying by behind them. They haven't even gotten to the other side of the curb yet. So it's this crazy situation, a lot of noise, a lot of trash in the street that these people throw out of their vehicles. We're afraid that there's going to be animals and rats and everything else coming around on a Sunday morning to pick up all their trash that they're eating up their leftover pizza and stuff like that. It's a big problem. So I appreciate something being done about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other residents that want to participate under citizen participation this evening? Okay. We'll move on to item F. Our standing committees will be meeting during recess. The Administration and Finance, Safety and Development, and Advisory Committee will be meeting in room 118, and Public Works and License and Health will be meeting in room 128. Move on to item G, the Mayor's Report this evening. A few things. I want to first say thank you to everybody who participated in and attended the Memorial Day Parade and the ceremony that followed. It was a miserable day, but we had an outstanding turnout, both in participants as well as attendees, to pay homage to those that lost their lives in combat defending our freedom. So I want to thank everybody involved in that. And I also want to thank our Downtown West Dallas Business Improvement District for another very successful a la carte event last Sunday. Again, it wasn't the warmest day on record, but it was well attended. A lot of families were there, a lot of people were out having a good time and listening to music, eating a lot of food, and we had a lot of businesses there that all came together to make it a success with a lot of positive comments from our residents as well as our visitors to the city. And I meant to do this at our last meeting, but I want to say congratulations to Sally Nusslock. She is the WALHDAB, which is the Wisconsin Association of Local Health Departments and Boards 2013 Health Officer of the Year for the state of Wisconsin. So kudos to her. First, we got one of the first municipal health departments accredited, and now she was the Health Officer of the Year. And lastly, it's been a good week for Mitchell Manor Senior Living in our city. I broke ground last Friday on an expansion there, and yesterday I attended a luncheon for the resident Val Rakowski, who celebrated her 100th birthday, another one. So I just want to say happy birthday to Val once again. That concludes the mayor's report. Do we have any alderperson's comments?
Mayor Devine.
Alderman Probst.
I wanted to echo the mayor's comments and thank everyone who braved the elements to come out and pay honor to all of our veterans who have served in our world wars and in our not-so-world wars. It was great to see everybody out there. It was very heartwarming when the weather wasn't. And last week, Thursday, we hosted a meeting here, Alderman Weigel, myself, Chief Padgett, members of TLS, and for the residents of 74th and Washington to talk about the situation there. And I want to thank everyone from the 2nd District who came out to sit and talk with us about their concerns. It was great to see so many people involved.
Thank you, Alderman. Do we have any other alderperson's comments?
Mayor Devine.
Alderman Chaplesky.
I just would like to make a few comments about the Youth Commission's report that we got last council meeting. And I need to say that I have nothing to do with the Youth Commission. I never even went to one of their meetings and everything. And it was nice to see that they gave their opinion on things. But there was a number of issues in here that I would think that maybe in the future, in future youth commissions, that we look at, like they said, they have physical structures in our city. Well, you know, somebody should have taken down the history in our development, take them through the history of what we've done in the last 10 years in this community, how it used to look and how it's working. And as far as a label, you know, it's like a tattoo that you didn't want that you can't get rid of. I mean, we didn't get it. I mean, the name Dirty Stella is somebody made up, and it's here. And yes, it's hard to get rid of, and I don't know of anything that we could do, you know, in order to get rid of it. But probably one of the most troubling things is that I kept reading in here, in order to get us to move back. We hope you have some of these changes occur so we can return. Now, I would think that if they go away to college, that they would want to take all the lessons they learned and all the knowledge they got and come back to the community they grew up in to help make changes, instead of almost trying to bribe us to get them to come back. Even though I think that if, unless somebody's paying for their college or they're getting a job that pays a lot of money when they get out, I think they're going to be coming back anyways, because I don't think they're going to be able to afford to live in other communities. And then the other thing is, it's springtime again, and we're running into the grass issue again. Last year was the absolute worst year ever for people not cutting their grass. Why? I don't know. I don't have a clue. And this year, so far, it's just as bad, if not worse. And if someone could explain to me why they can't cut their grass. It doesn't cost a lot of money, you know, and it's ridiculous to see that there's a few houses in an entire neighborhood that look horrible, that make the entire neighborhood look bad. And so, you know, last year we toughened our grass ordinance, and we're definitely going to tighten up the enforcement of it. And I'm on a committee that anybody wants to fight their tickets, they can come to, but I'm going to be unsympathetic, you know, because I can't think of a real reason why somebody doesn't cut their grass. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Chaplesky.
Mayor Devine.
Alderman Barzak.
This past Sunday was West Dallas a la carte, and I had the opportunity, one of my functions was to have the beer tenders or bartenders for the beer tent I want to thank them, first of all, because they volunteered their time. They were not paid. Al, Eric, Todd, Jeff, and Colleen, thank you very much for volunteering your time. All the proceeds that the tent brought in goes right back to the Christmas parade. All the tips, the bartenders did not take those tips, did not, again, get any compensation. That money went right back to the West Dallas Christmas Parade. Any of the profits off of the beer tent, and that's why there's other people that did sell beer there, and but they made the money on it. But that particular tent, all the proceeds after the beer was paid for and after the entertainment was paid for, went right back again to the West Dallas Christmas Parade to help them fund that parade. So again, I want to thank the bartenders. They were there for about 6 hours, and they gave up their time to be there, and sure appreciate their help. I want to comment just a little bit on item number 39 in tonight's agenda, and it is the resolution to give the Director of Public Works, City Engineer, the permission to temporarily close, actually 109th, 110th, 111th, 111th place. And we've been working on this problem ever since the Speedway station went in. And we finally do have a police chief that's actually concerned about the problem, and he is really, really supporting us on this particular effort. And we received, Alderman May and myself received the report last week, and I have to go from memory, and maybe Alderman May can hit me the number, but it was something in the neighborhood of 70 to 90 tickets that were issued, and the State Patrol has even, our chief has gotten the State Patrol involved, and my understanding is the, not this past week and weekend before, there was as many as 5 State Patrol cars helping out on Highway 100. Back to the barriers in item number 39, not only is it going to hopefully help with the problem for the cruising, but with the construction that's going on in Wauwatosa on Highway 100 and the zoo interchange to come, many people are starting to use now 124th and then 119th and cutting through Theater Trucker Drive, and then they shoot through the neighborhoods to try to beat the stoplight at Theater Trucker Drive. And in the morning, we have trucks coming through, and at night, so it's all during the day. It's not just the cruisers. You know, it's going to hopefully help a lot more. So I'm hoping that when this item is going to go to Public Works tonight, and we'll discuss it there further, and I'm just hoping that it does get the support that we finally can give a little bit of closure, a little bit of help to this problem that has been going on for as long as it has. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Barzak. Are there any other alderpersons report this evening?
Mayor Devine.
Alderman Reinke?
Once again, I would like to say on behalf of the West Dallas Celebrations Committee, you veterans out there, I know there's a lot more than 5 veterans in West Dallas. We want to honor you, and in order to do that, you must come to our breakfast on July 3rd. So please, if you are a West Dallas veteran, call the number 302-8304 by June 21st, and you can be our guest at our breakfast. Also, the whole entire community of West Dallas is invited to this breakfast to help us honor you people. So I'm hoping that you will call, and you'll just be happy to come and be honored and entertained and wined and dined, you might say. So please call. If you don't remember the number, just call City Hall and they'll direct your number. We must have a count of you people because we need to order food for you. So please call City Hall and register. We will want to know your name and your address and the service that you participated in. So again, please consider coming to the breakfast on July 3rd at 8 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Reinke. Are there any other alderpersons' reports this evening?
Mayor Devine?
Alderman May.
I wish to quickly talk about the general maintenance and upkeep of the city of West Dallas, as Alderman Chaplesky had. One of the things I've learned in the year and 2 months that I've been in office is that it's amazing how the culture of one block can decide your happiness in living in an area, and how one person on that block who doesn't maintain their yard, or two who don't maintain that yard, you know, that drives down the desire to live in that neighborhood. It drives down the value of the neighborhood in general when you're going to sell. But it also comes back to us, homeowners who are taking care of our properties, to hold our neighbors to the fire a little bit, hold their toes to the fire, and insist that they take care of the problems. If you have a problem you're looking at someone's property with lawn, call over to DPW or call your alderman. Let's get that taken care of. If you see someone's property, I had a call from someone who had dog feces all over the front yard. Call the health department. They'll get out there and they'll take care of it. You see something wrong with a person's garage is falling over, contact building inspection or, again, your alderman. It really comes down to us holding the fort on our streets and our neighborhoods. If we're going to be successful, we need to do it together, and I hope everyone will take these words to heart and get at it. Let's get at it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other alderpersons' comments?
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Lysick.
I understand there are some corrections to tonight's agenda.
There are 2 items that should be joint referrals. Items 38 and 46 being referred to the Safety and Development Committee and the Public Works Committee.
Hearing that, I would move for approval of the agenda as amended.
Second.
There is a motion with a second by Alderman Reinke. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Lysick.
I move for approval of the minutes of the Common Council regular meeting of May 21st, 2013.
There's a motion with a second by Alderman Sangstock. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. I'll ask for a motion to send item 4 and 5 to the city attorney.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Alderman May, second by Alderman Barzak. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item K on your agenda, standing committee reports, License and Health Committee, Alderman Chaplesky.
Mayor Devine.
I'd like to report on items number 7 through 26 on tonight's agenda. These are various license and reports that are voted to place on file, approve subject to necessary requirements, with the exception of number 7, 8, 9, and 10, which were for denial. We have 4 members vote in favor and 1 member excused. I'd like to move for the adoption of the committee's report, and number 6 is going back to committee. Second.
There's a motion, there's a second by Alderman Sangstock. Is there any discussion?
Mayor Devine,
Alderman May?
one quick question. Item number 9, is this the gentleman, the Stallis Palace?
I don't have it in front of me. Is that? Yes, it is.
I received a call, from I understand other people on the council may have received a call, with concern that somehow we're denying this because of the name of the place. And I watched the committee proceedings, I saw the report, and I don't see how we can't deny. I support. And I just wanted to make sure that that's on the record. This isn't because of the name, it's because the record, drug record, alcohol. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Lysick.
I move that we recess until conclusion of the committee meeting.
There's a motion with a second by Alderman Sangstock. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? We are in recess.